Because I did every CBS Saturday morning show ever, I of course then do a review of something CBS Saturday morning show related. And I think probably one of the more infamous ones that isn't something I already reviewed, which would have been Mighty Mouse and the New Adventures, is the Garbage Pail Kids cartoon show, which, if you notice, I didn't mention in there. Probably because it never aired. There's some people that say the pilot aired, which is actually what I'm reviewing today, but it didn't. It didn't, because parents groups got upset. Garbage Pail Kids were going on for a while, and as I was a kid, I remember parents did not like Garbage Pail Kids. They didn't like how gross it was. I've actually read they didn't like because it was discriminating against people with disabilities and handicaps. I actually couldn't find out what the card was of that. If anyone in the chat or if watching this later knows, please let me know in the comments. I actually couldn't find that anywhere, what the card specifically was. I do actually like the designs of the cards. People like Art Spiegelman and people who drew from Mad Magazine did actually really great Garbage Pail Kids cards. There's one referencing Vincent van Gogh and Salvador Dali, and I think people should respect the Garbage Pail Kids cards a lot better. But the media they made of Garbage Pail Kids was essentially and actually fucking terrible. The movie came out right before this in 1987. The cartoon show was supposed to kind of present the new media empire of Garbage Pail Kids. But since this got banned and the Garbage Pail Kids movie was awful, that never happened. Now, this cartoon, interestingly enough, starts with someone going like, this is terrible and gross, and interrupting it, trying to stop the Garbage Pail Kids show from happening, which is actually funny, and is probably as funny as this ever got. The interesting thing about this is, I mean, the animation is so bad, a lot of their jokes don't work, which were visual jokes. They tried to do a Star Wars parody and didn't actually do the text right, which is oof, guys. What's weird is, so the concept of the Garbage Pail Kids cartoon is that these normal looking kids transform into gross Garbage Pail Kid card type of people, and then they go on and do gross adventures and stuff. That's the concept. But the first cartoon of the first episode is this weird parody where aliens invade this land and then they throw garbage on them and stuff. It has nothing to do with what this show's about. If you didn't know this, when you have a first episode, you're supposed to introduce the characters and the concept of the show, and then they waste like upwards of over 10 minutes on this other thing, and I was like, is this what this show is? Like, what's going on right now? I don't understand, like, why you would make this cartoon and start it off this way, or these are just weird tangents. It just, like, doesn't really play very well. And then they get to the original concept, which is like, that is actually worse. It's really boring. It's not animated well. I didn't really like it very much. I just don't think it worked at all. And the funny thing is like the other controversy that CBS Saturday Morning had a few controversies in the late 80s, early 90s. First it was this, which didn't actually air. They ended up actually airing another half hour of Muppet Babies. They ended up having like an hour and a half of Muppet Babies because Little Muppet Monsters also got canceled, I think, around this time. The following year, they had the Mighty Mouse and the New Adventures controversy, which I've talked about in like 2 separate videos, but you could check out my review of that, and as well as my 1988 The Year Animation Broke series. Talk about that as well. But they basically like took a screen, a very quick part, and said Mighty Mouse was doing cocaine on TV. He wasn't, during that Ralph Bakshi series, and then the Pee-wee's Playhouse thing, which I don't need to go into. But if you're going to make a Garbage Pail Kids cartoon, the thing with this is like, it's not funny. The concept of turning kids into Garbage Pail Kids is lame. The problem with Garbage Pail Kids, if making it into a cartoon, is that there's no like Garbage Pail Kids main character. There's like the atom bomb kid with the head exploding. There's various like cards that were more iconic, but it's not like you have an Optimus Prime, or you don't have a main character. You don't have a Captain America to lead it. So it really just doesn't really work in terms of making a cartoon show out of. It's actually very hard to do something like that. I think if you're going to do it, if you actually had Ralph Bakshi and the crew who did Mighty Mouse and the New Adventures, they could have made it work because they're weird enough to make that sort of concept work. But I think you would have to make it more like his Weird Pilots or Cool World or something. But then I don't think it would have worked either. It probably would have just been more interesting to watch and to talk about. I think this cartoon is really bad. It's not bad in the way that's like funny, but it's more just surprising that the Garbage Pail Kids, I think the media they made is really awful, but the cards were actually cool and good, and I really enjoy those cards. It's just unfortunately that their kind of bad media that they made in 87, which is going to be their big year to push out to make stuff, didn't end up really helping them, transcend that. They made crappy media. They probably shouldn't have made a cartoon show or anything like that. They should have probably stuck with trading cards, which was a parody of the Cabbage Patch Kids. And the Cabbage Patch Kids thing ended eventually anyway, because they went too far as well. So it's sort of unfortunate. I wish people would just look at the cards and remember them for that, and forget about this crap, because this cartoon is not memorable and is not really worth being preserved. It is weird they made an entire season that aired pretty much in every country that was in America, because they didn't mind gross little trading cards for kids. But apparently in America, we do, and unfortunately, they didn't get... This cartoon never got to air on CBS Saturday morning, because it didn't rock on that CBS.